Hi everyone, it's Amber and I am finally back with another video. I do apologize that it's been so long since I posted a video. I have still been working on my Rediscover Your Stash series. So if you follow me on Instagram, this is another one of the projects that I did a poll on. So I did a poll asking, would you rather this or this, this or this, this or this? So I had several questions. One of them was, would you rather see a mini album or a junk journal? And mini album won barely. So that's what we did in my last video with the one of the last videos. It was the carousel mini album with the rings, and then I'll link it up here for you if you missed it. Then I asked, would you rather see tons of cards or a mini album made out of envelopes and cards? And so that one won by a landslide, that people wanted to see a mini album made with cards and envelopes. So that's what we're doing today, and this is also a mini album for beginners. It's so easy. It's one of my favorite mini albums to make. I used to make these all the time when I was starting out crafting, and they're so fun and so easy. And these would make beautiful gifts as well. You can fill them with pictures. But let's go ahead and jump right in and get started. This is another project that you can rediscover your stash with. If you have a bunch of these like I do laying around, I have these from Michael's, Joann's, Hobby Lobby. This one happens to be from Hobby Lobby. It's a set of cream colored cards and envelopes, and this has 50 of each. It was from Hobby Lobby, and I got it 50% off when they were having their Paper Studio sale. I've had this in my stash for like months. I think I got this back in either December or January. So I'm going to be using cards and envelopes for the base of my album. Now I've already made one, and I'm going to flip through it, and then we're going to make one together here on video. So this is it right here, and I use the gorgeous Willow Lane paper collection by Maggie Holmes. So like you've been seeing me do, I took out my Willow Lane iris case that I have in my stash, and here it is. And I took out all the elements that I wanted to use. And I've already used this collection one time to make a couple kits out of, so I did have quite a bit used, but I had quite a bit left as well. So I'm using the 12 by 12 paper pad, and I'm going to show you all the measurements that you need. It is so easy. It's a great album to start if you're just starting scrapbooking. So let me do a flip through of this album. So I used the cards and envelopes to make this. I used the Willow Lane paper. So other than this project being perfect for a beginner crafter, it's also a great project to mass produce for craft fairs or for gifts. So right now it's a great time to cheer your friends up, your family with Happy Mail. So this would be a super quick and easy project that you could do for that. And also it uses up a ton of single-sided paper. This is one of those great projects that you can kill a collection, and you can kill one of those packages of cards and envelopes too. If you have more time on your hands, you can just mass produce a bunch of these, and I'm going to show you a great technique and just an easy formula on how you can do a bunch of these. So let me flip through what we're going to be making. This is the one I made already, and then we're going to make another one here on video. So of course my seam binding came from my favorite Etsy shop, My Scrap Cabin, and look at her gorgeous seam binding. This was my last order, and I got all these beautiful spring colors. So beautiful. So I used this one, of course, for this album, and I just used it as my closure. So I'm going to show you how to do that in the tutorial. But let's do a quick flip through so I can show you this gorgeous album. So I made this one with 8 cards and 4 envelopes. But the one that we're going to make, we're going to use 6 cards and 6 envelopes. So here is just this simple album. So all it is a bunch of photo mats that you can glue pictures down. And then it has this little flippy page right here. And it has a pocket. So this has a pocket. You can slip goodies in there. This is just one of the ephemera pieces from the Willow Lane collection. You can stick all kinds of stuff in this pocket. And then you flip it over, and I cut my paper too short, so I had to cut a strip, but this is a solid piece for a photo. Plain layout here with no flip page. But like I said, on the one we're going to make, there's going to be a flippy page on all of them. And then here's the next page. This one flips out. Again, there's a pocket here. So much room for pictures. So you could put so many pictures in here. The cards and envelopes that I used happen to measure, I believe, 5 by 6.5. So any size envelopes that you have, any size cards and envelopes you have will work for this. You just have to adjust your paper size. But we're going to go over all that in the tutorial. So here's another perfect page for pictures. Here's another flip out page. So cute. I love this album. It was so easy, you guys. Oops, I skipped a page. That one. And then this flips out here. There's some goodies in that pocket. And then that is the last page. So this is the easiest album ever. Like I said, you can customize it, make it your own. Let's get started on the simple tutorial. Okay, so to start, you're gonna need 6 cards and 6 envelopes. Now, these cards and envelopes should probably go together because then they're closer to the same size, and I'll show you why later on in the tutorial. But I'm using, again, that Paper Studio pack, 5 inches by 6.5 inches. That's how big the cards are. Anyways, for this album, we're going to start out with 6 cards, and I've already taken mine and folded them in half, and 6 envelopes. So for the scrapbook paper, and again, I will say the scrapbook paper is pattern cardstock, and this is the Willow Lane collection by Maggie Holmes, and it's really smooth and really good scrapbook paper, so I love it. It's nice and sturdy. So you're going to need 14 pieces of scrapbook paper that measure 6 1/4 by 4 3/4. Again, here's a still shot. You're going to need 14 pieces that measure 6 1/4 tall by 4 3/4 wide. So the next scrapbook pieces you're going to need are 6 pieces that measure 6 1/2 by 4 1/2. So you're going to need 6 pieces, and again, they only have to be single-sided. So again, that's 6 pieces that measure 6 1/2 by 4 1/2. Okay, so this is the last batch of scrapbook paper you're going to need to cut down, and this batch is 6 pieces that measure 6 1/2 by 3 3/4. Okay, so again, you need 6 pieces that measure 6 1/2 tall by 3 3/4 wide. The very first thing we're going to do for this tutorial is get our envelopes prepped. So this has to do with the size of your cards. So this is very important. So again, I'm using cards that measure 6 1/2 by 5. So here's the flap of my envelope, and it's going to go to the top. I'm going to stick this in, and I'm going to cut this down to 6 1/2. Because you know, when you get cards and envelopes, the envelopes are always a little bit bigger. So I'm going to just put this in my paper trimmer, flap on the top, close it up like this, and slice it down to 6 1/2. So you just took off a little tiny strip. So then you take your envelope and turn it this way. So now the flap is on the left. And we're going to cut this down to 4 1/2. So for this, I'm cutting this 1/2 inch shorter than my card, because my card is 5 inches wide. So I'm cutting my envelope to 4 1/2 inches. And yes, that is going to take off this bottom fold. So I just took off that bottom fold, and now you've got this piece that just kind of flaps down freely. You don't need this at all, so we're going to take that off. So just cut this where this naturally folds right here. That's where you're going to cut it off. Right at that fold. So you don't need this at all. You can throw it out. And now you're left with this. You need to do that to all of your envelopes. I've got all my envelopes prepped. So the next thing you do is take out all of your cards. So with each card, you're going to open it up to the inside and take one of your prepped envelope pieces. So this is what you do to get those fun flippy pages. And you need to do this part before you adhere your scrapbook paper down. So here's the card and here's the envelope. You're going to take to where this flap folds right here, and you're going to actually glue this down lined up with the edge of your card. So that way it opens and closes like this. You're just going to take glue on all this side of the triangle flap and glue it down. Okay, so I'm going to turn this over and fill this all with glue. So I'm going to use my ATG gun, just get right up against that fold and cover this whole thing with the adhesive of your choice. I like using this ATG gun. You can use wet glue, you can use pretty much anything. Okay, so now, again, I want to put this here so we have that fun flippy page. So what I'm going to do is close it up like this, and I'm going to line these two edges up straight. So let's turn it this way so I can see it better. And let's get these corners matched up. And the edge matched up. And then just glue it down. See? Your bone folder. This is a bone folder, so if you're a beginner crafter, this is a great tool to have in the craft room. When you burnish, it makes the glue from what you just put on this envelope kind of into the fibers of the card, so that way it stays permanent. So now you can kind of see what we've done. We took the envelope and adhered it down onto the card, and now it makes this fun flippy page. So this is going to be all covered with paper, so don't worry about this looking weird. And that's how I designed these, to be a little short from this fold, so that way there's plenty of room. So that way when you go to close it, it's nice and smooth. So we need to do this for each one of our cards because all of them are going to have this fun flippy page. So now that I have all 6 of my cards prepped and ready to go with the cute flip page, I'm going to bring in my 14 pieces that I cut down to 6 1/4 by 4 3/4. So the first thing we need to do with all these beautiful pages is go through them and choose what you want to be your cover. So for the album that I made, I chose this pretty blue, navy blue and coral pink print. And I use the same for the front and the back. So that's what I'm going to do here. I want to go through, and I already know, yes. So I'm going to choose these 2 pages here for my front and back cover. And so I'm going to set those aside for just the time being. So I'm going to set those aside. And so you're going to be working with the rest of these now. And let me show you what you're going to do. It's so easy. You are only going to cover the inside. You're going to open it up and you're going to cover this, and that's it. You're not going to worry about this yet. You're not going to worry about the front or the back covers. Just the 2 inside pieces. Cover this side like this, and this side like that. That's what you're going to do for all 6 of these cards. You're going to take the 12 pieces that you have here and cover the 2 inside pages. So here's the page that I want right here. So I'm just going to flip it over, and like I said, I use some double-sided pages and some single-sided. You can use all single-sided. It's a great way to get rid of all your single-sided paper pads that you've got laying around. So I like to use my ATG gun, but again, you can use any adhesive you want. And when we do this, I cut this to where there's going to be an even border all the way around. I try to get this as centered as possible. Okay, so we've got that first page down. Super easy, really good right there. Okay, so I've got my first one done. So I'm done with my first card when it comes to these pages here. I'm just going to close this up and close that up and go to the next card. So again, you're just going to be covering these 2 pages right here. So I'm done with that step for all 6 of my cards. I have the insides covered. So there's that one, and again, this is a great way to use up that single-sided paper. My husband's coming in the door right now. He was just outside for a walk. So there's all those. And I've got all 6 of those done. So the next step is to take these little short pages. So these are the ones that measure 3 3/4 by 6 1/2. And these are going to go for the inside of this cute little flap. And I'll show you how that's going to look. It's going to look just like this. I designed this page to not leave any border. Since this is such a flimsy page because it's the envelope, it's like half of the envelope. So I decided to cut this down to cover the entire, to not leave a border at all. But it is going to leave a big gap here because this is going to be your pocket. And I like to cut a little notch right here. It's optional. But I take my circle punch. You can use any circle punch you have. And just turn this. And just take and go about halfway down and cut a little notch right there. So that way when you put this back on your page, you can tell that it's a pocket because it's got that little half circle cut out right there. So super easy. We're just going to glue this down, but we're not going to be using ATG this time because if you're a beginner crafter, the tape runner glue, if you glue the edges with this, anything you put inside is going to stick. So if I put like a tag in there, it might get stuck because this stays sticky. So we need to have another conversation really fast about glue. I don't know, I think I've steered you wrong in a couple of my videos, and here's what I've discovered. These are the main glues that I've been using, along with my, of course, Scotch ATG gun, but it's good to use wet glue when you're doing a pocket because wet glue normally dries completely and it stays clear and flexible. So with these glues, I was opting forever to use the art glitter glue, which I still love. It's still one of my favorite glues. But I was finding these 2 glues here by Tombow to be super convenient. I learned more about the glue, and even though this one I always knew was not really for paper to paper, I was still using it because it was fine. I didn't care that it kept it stiff and it kind of dries hard. I didn't mind that, but I think I'm going to go back to my art glitter glue because the one that I have been using for pockets is this Tombow Mono multi-liquid glue. This one stays tacky, and so it kind of has the same effect as if you were going to use this. It stays tacky, so that means it stays sticky the whole time, and anything you stick in there can get stuck. Not a big deal because I was only using very little, but this is great to use if you want to glue the whole page down. It's a very good glue for that. It's permanent and everything like that. But for the pockets, to make a long story short, we're going to be going back to the Art Glitter Glue. I love this stuff and it dries clear and flexible. So let's go back to the Art Glitter Glue for pockets. So this is how you're going to glue down your pocket. Just turn it over. Only going to glue the 3 sides, so the bottom and the 2 sides. So just do a thin layer, and I'm going to link this glue below. No, it doesn't have glitter in it. I know the name is deceiving, but it's just a really good, quick dry, wet glue. I might have gotten a little heavy on that line there, but that's okay. So now I'm going to pull in my little Tim Holtz sheet here, because I always tend to get glue everywhere when I do this. And then you're just going to glue this down. Remember, there's not going to be a border, so make sure you line this up with the corner and the edge of your envelope flip page here. And just let that glue sit for a minute. Press it down. We'll let it dry for a second. A little bit seeps out because I got a little heavy with the glue on accident down there. But I'll just take a paper towel. That's all you need to do to glue the pocket down, and then you can like stick tags and goodies inside there. Okay, so now kind of set this up here to dry and take my next card and do the same thing, the inside. So you flip this over and you're going to cover the inside of this flap with another one of your little sheets. Like this. I'm going to do my notch. So I got all my pocket pages done on all these cards. That one, the pretty blue one. I love this paper. It's got such beautiful prints. And this one. So the next thing we're going to do is take out the paper that we cut down to 6.5 by 4.5, these 6 pages here, and this is what you're going to do with those. You're going to be covering the other side of the envelope flap. So with this, you kind of want to pay attention to the print because it's going to look like that, and you want it to kind of go together, not clash too much with the page right here. So again, I made these so they covered the entire envelope side because I didn't leave a border because it's such flimsy paper. So this is actually going to cover the entire side and act just as a photo mat, not a pocket. This is the pocket side here. So this is going to actually cover the entire panel of this flippy page on the back. Let's see. Ooh, that gold one with the music notes, that would look pretty. So I'm going to take my ATG. You can use wet glue for this too, so you can make it even and it's easier to move around, but I like to use my ATG gun for this part. It's up to you though. So I actually like to flip this page out like this. See how I did that? It was like this, and I just want to turn it over so I can get this perfectly straight. So I'm going to line up that bottom corner and the bottom edge. And the rest should fall down into place. So then just take your bone folder and burnish it, just like the others. Get those edges really good. And here we go. Now your page is all decorated. And we've got that one done. So let's do another one. So the insides are completely done. So there's that one. It's so easy to make these albums. It's like, it goes so fast. You just want to make like 30 of them in a day. I've almost completely killed that paper pad now between this one and the first one that I made, and then the little kits that I had made earlier. So there's those. Okay, the next thing we're going to do now is actually assemble our album. So at this point, put the pages in order that you want them. And it doesn't have to be in any particular order. The only thing I suggest is, remember, we are going to be covering this page. So like when you open it, you may not want to have this same print right there. So I wouldn't put this page first. Maybe I'd put it like third. And let's see. So if I had this as the cover and I opened it, that would be really pretty. So maybe I'll do that. And then the last page, it doesn't really matter. I can keep this as my last page. So now is how you basically put this thing together. It's so easy. And I'm going to be showing a new glue that I've been using, and I love it so much. I'm going to link this below if you want to go buy it, but you feel free to use any wet glue that you have. You don't have to use this kind, but this is called PVA glue. And I learned about this on a channel, I think it was Sea Lemon, and she was talking about everything adhesive, and this works so good. That's the glue I use to connect all the pages for this album. So it's the same concept as using wet glue. It's just this different brand, and it's like a different type of wet glue. So I don't really know all the scientific details of it, but I know it's acid free, it's you know, archival safe and all that. And what I love to do is I took this cheap paintbrush that I bought at Target in a set for like $1.89, I think, and I just used this kind of like flat one, and I am going to be using it to paint the glue on so it's even. It's such a great handy trick. And then of course I have this bottled water right here that I just use to get to clean it and to get the brush wet. So here's my little bottle of water. I wrote glue all over it so that nobody drinks it, which they won't because it's just sitting here in my craft room. But anyways, this is so easy how we're going to do this. Let me show you. You're just going to take your album and again stack them in the order that you want them. So this is how you're going to attach the album together. This is why we didn't cover the outside pages. You're going to be gluing this piece right here to this piece, completely gluing it together. Then you're going to glue this to this one, this to this one, and so on and so on. So the first thing we're going to do, I like to do, is take my first two pages, scoot the rest of them up here. So here's my first two pages, and these are fold to fold. And I'm going to add glue just to this side. So I'm going to take this PVA adhesive, and you only need a little bit. It goes a long way. And just put like that much on there and do a little in the middle because like I said, it goes such a long way. And then take the brush and just kind of paint it so it's evenly all distributed on this back of this card. Like, I don't know why I haven't used a cheap paintbrush like this to glue my pages together before, but you got to kind of work a little bit fast because it does start to dry, but you'll still have time. So I like to make sure this gets all the way to the edge so that way that is really adhered. And then set your little brush aside, and honestly just take these and marry them together. So just stack it like this, but you have time to completely get this completely straight because it's the wet glue and it slides around just for a quick second for you, so you can make sure your edges and everything are perfectly lined up. Just press it down, and now that you've got it all straight, you can open this up like this. Take your bone folder and really press that down to the other card to make sure all those edges are completely adhered together. And then you can open up this side and do the same thing. But I love using that wet glue because it gives you time to keep these completely straight. So now you've got your first two adhered together. So here's what we have so far. Okay, so now pull your next one down, your fold to fold, right here and here, and just add glue to this side and do it all over again. So. So my album has been all glued together. It looks really good. It's really even. And it's coming together so beautifully. You can kind of see already that we're almost done. We just have to add our seam binding and our covers. Okay, so the next thing you want to do here, and this is optional, so you can add a ribbon closure like I did. I use seam binding, so this is the time you would do it. So you can just use regular ribbon. I, of course, love to use seam binding, and you want to kind of consider the covers that you're using. So I've got all these colors out right now. Look how perfect this one looks with it. So what I like to do is kind of know how much I want slack. And I'll hold my thumb there and then straighten this out and leave that part loose. And then that's where I'll cut it. So then I'll just do another piece that exact size. I just like to kind of eyeball where the center of this is, and that's going to go right there. So I'm going to hold my finger there, and I'm going to pull this tight like this. But first I need a strip of adhesive. So just keep your finger where that center was and eyeball the middle of your book and just put a strip of adhesive. So here's that center. I've still got my fingers pinched on it. You're going to pull this tight and glue it down. Flip it over to the back, and you've already got a gauge for where that middle is because you've glued the front down. And then you're going to pull this tight and glue that down the same way. I do a double so that way it stays really nice. And then again, pull this tight and flat and glue it down just like this. So this isn't going to hold it forever, but because we're layering paper over it, that's when it will stay forever. Okay, so now we have all this slack over here, and you know I like to do a double layer. So I'm going to do this again. So now you've got your beautiful seam binding closure over here, and you're ready to put your covers on. So the covers I designed to have an even border of the card showing all the way around, and this is super self-explanatory. Just fill the entire back with adhesive and glue her on down. Alright, and it's really important to take your bone folder and get this really nice and press down around the seam binding and then around all the edges especially. So our album is completely covered, and it's got this gorgeous seam binding closure, the pretty purple and navy colors, and then the teal in there on the cover. Look at the spine. I just love how that looks with the seam binding right there. And then there's the back. So now we're ready to kind of decorate this thing and put goodies in the pockets. I'm actually going to take 2 of the sheets that were in the 12 by 12 paper pad and cut all of the journal cards apart, and we'll stick all those in the pockets. I think that'll be super cute and a great way to have journaling cards and more decorative pieces that you can use to decorate the other pages when you put your photos in. I want to use this sticker set that I got in the Willow Lane collection as well. So let's see what would look good here. Is this the front or the back? That's the front. That's super cute. Oh my goodness, I think I might have to use this. That's adorable. And then maybe Love This Life. I think that would be super cute. So I always like to use additional adhesive on these things to add some extra adhesive to make it super, super sticky so it won't ever come off. So these are like little foam stickers. They're very dimensional and they're matte. They're not shiny, which I love. So I'm going to kind of center this little guy right there. Oh, I love that. That's so cute. And then I'm going to add some more adhesive to this sentiment and center it right below him. This is so adorable. I love how simple this is. The paper is like the star because it's so pretty. So now I'm going to do what I was saying. I'm going to cut all these apart and we're going to fill up those pockets. Okay, so I cut all these cute journal cards apart and now I'm just going to distribute a lot of them throughout my book. Simple, easy, cute little mini album is all finished. Let's do a flip through. So here's the seam binding. I just tied it in a loose bow. And of course we've got our beautiful cover here that's simply embellished. So here's our cute little album. I just glued this sentiment down right here. So this has so much room for pictures. You can fit full 4x6 pictures on all these pages. Including this, you can cut it down and put one here, put more pictures in the pockets. These would be really cute gifts as well. So put lots of goodies in there. And I just kind of used some of those cut aparts and decorated. And I clipped some of these things in here with some gold paper clips. I love when they have labels. You could like put the date of your photo right here, or do some journaling. I loved this sentiment right here, so I glued that down. And really, the beautiful paper does all the work. You can just clip and tuck little bits in here. This is the perfect album if you're just starting out crafting, or even if you're a seasoned crafter and you just want to slam out a bunch of easy albums that are still beautiful and have a lot of interest in them. Alright, so there's our album. It's nice and chunky too. You don't want to put too many embellishments in because the spine doesn't have any gussets, but this is just perfect. I love looking at the top with all the bits hanging out. And then we just tie this into a simple bow, just like this. Just gives that vintage touch and it matches the paper so well. So I'm just going to tie that in a cute bow. And it's all done. So that was super easy. Here's my other album. And I hope that you'll take out your cards and envelopes in any size, get your paper out, and make a bunch of these fun albums. Put some photos in there, give them as gifts, anything. So I hope that you're following me over on Instagram. I do giveaways, sneak peeks, and different stories and things like that over there. So I hope that you can follow me there as well as here. I hope that you will stay around and subscribe if you haven't already. And click that little bell so you don't miss another one of my uploads. It'll notify you when I upload a video. And I just want to thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for your patience. I know I haven't posted a video in a couple weeks, but now I'm back and I'm still really enjoying this Rediscover Your Stash series. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you kind of what I have left from all the collections I've been using. I'm so happy that I'm able to use up so many of these collections this year. I've been shopping through my stash, rediscovering what I have, seeing all the amazing, beautiful paper that I still want to craft with and I still love, and creating beautiful projects with them in a simple, easy way. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I really want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!